this sanding here now is just to get the top layer of epoxy from the carbon. You don't want to go into the carbon in this case at this stage, because I mean the carbon is just get rid of the top layer of epoxy that's on top of the carbon. Then on top, when that is done, we will do the hot coating. Now we'll take the rails. There we go. Now we're ready for hot coating. We start with the bottom. So I'll taper. Now keep it not up, just slightly below, so I don't have a problem if it goes over the edge a little bit. Getting the brush ready, secure that we don't have any unnecessary straws in it. I don't want to touch it with my hands now because I don't want to get any fat from my hands onto the board or to the brush. Now we're going to try two new things. First, I'll put a layer of hot coat on top of this, on top of the board. It looks quite okay. I was hoping for more of the pink to come through, but because of the black, it turns more red. But we'll see. Most likely, I will spray paint this one. Anyway, in pink, it's going to be a pink board. I want it really pink. We will see now. I've added some additive F. It's the first time I'm using this. It has some wax inside, and it's supposed to help to take away the bubbles and also the fish eyes of the coating. We'll see what happens. So far, it looks quite okay. No fish eyes. I did a hot coat with a neon pink powder inlay and some micro balloons and some thickener, and also a little bit of the additive F that I just acquired. And I must say, I'm really impressed with the finish I get. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to do a hot coat to get a cover on carbon, because you want to sand it down and then the carbon comes through, and since you haven't it's not wetted with the inlays. But we'll see what happens. I have got a little bit here on this side, on the bottom side. I'm almost finished with the sanding. I'm using a polishing machine, working with 120 grit, getting it down. I haven't decided yet if I just keep it like this or if I do a spray paint on it. I'm not sure. We'll see. Take that part of the process. I just have some small parts here. That's if I do another coat on this one, it will disappear, but I'll take it down a little bit more. With this one on the top, since you have a lot of curves, I like to go with the orbital sander here. Even still 120 grit. I'll go over it quite fast here just to see where I have the high points and then to work more on those later on because I don't want to go too deep. That is the top. I'm feeling really happy with this one. I see some small spots, but that's nothing. That's nothing. It's as smooth as not even production board. This one. Now it's time for the rails. Do the rails and do the rails by hand. Here's a little bit evidence. I was a little bit too sloppy if you remember, when I did the bottom part, took it over here, I centered it down, and in most of the parts, it looks fine. This is the way it should look like. Unfortunately, back here, I was a little bit sloppy. I see that. Didn't sand down the edge enough. So then you get this kind of weird thing. But that's part of the game. Now we'll continue with some hand. Now the basics. Sanding is done, or the hot coat. There's some smaller things like this here, but it's nothing, and we don't want to go deeper. So that I'm happy with that. Over here, we're gonna have the footpaths. I have a little bit small things like this, no problem. We'll have the footpaths there. Same over here. There's a little bit there, nothing to worry about. This is a project by itself. I need to make a hole here and put some epoxy in here because this is the screw. It's very thick, so it has to go down a little bit. Now we will try to find the screw holes for the footpaths. I can make out some holes here. You can see them there. And by finding one or two, you can usually trace out where the rest are. And slowly we will also take out this one here. I have to decide whether I should go for a color, uh, for a liquid soap, for a pitcher. I have some this is my Bonnet to 2023 board, so perhaps a flamingo or with a map of Bonaire and a little bit of a pink. Just keep it this pink and just put one coat of epoxy on top of this, or should I put it fully pink? Well, these are things I haven't decided yet. We'll see. I've now completed the hole for the fin screw, and as you can see, it's very nice on the inside. And the way I do it is I take a plastic tube. This is one to connect cable tubings. So I use this one, and then I roll carbon fiber this thick, about 40 centimeters long, 50 centimeters long. I roll that around this one many times, and then I cut the piece, and I made the hole exactly the same. And then I've used, in this case, I used Gorilla Glue to secure that it expands. And Gorilla Glue is not is closed cell. So that's one way of doing it. At the bottom here, I will put a washer. I will put some epoxy, and I will put this washer in the epoxy to secure a nice bond to the bottom part. But I'll do that at the end of the project. And that's also to secure that you don't have any leakage around the edges here at the bottom. Well, I'm putting some putty or filling with some inlets just to get all the smallest indents. Get them. It's not much, just a little bit. Now I'm going over this with an 80 grid, and then I will finish this off with a 120 and then a 240 180 before I do my next coat on top. Now the bottom is prepped for the primer that will go on now. Here I used an epoxy primer to try that. I never used that before. It dried cured really fast. Here I have a one enamel paint. This is like 2 days before it cured. Or now I have it's a nicer surface on this one compared to this one because this is a primer, epoxy really primer. Looking quite amazing actually. I like it. Ah, well, the board is now paint sanded down, 240, ready for final paint and graphics. So doing the template, board is painted, tape the whole board, put the template on top, and then I will use a knife here to cut out the letters, and then I will paint the letters white. So we'll have white letters on this surface here. I have some here that I need to touch up, but that's easy. It's just paint. Apart from that, it looks good. This will go over here, so this will be painted as well. So the whole board will be it's pink. On the board, I've done a pre part here where I will have a flamingo here in the front that I will spray paint. I will trace this off in one way or another onto the board. I made this as a template. The board is ready more or less now. I just used a clear glass hybrid, which is super hard on the surface. We'll let this dry now, and then we'll use a 1200 on top of this. I think it's quite a nice edge here. Well, now we come to the stage of where I've prepared now my foot pads. And the way I do the foot pads, they look like this. So I have the front and the back. And the way I do this is I'm using 3-layer, first the normal one that you can buy anywhere, which is the normal foot pad, but that's pretty thin. Then what I have done is I bought actually from without this the star shapes material, actually for a cosplay costume making. but it's working quite well. So I glue 3 layers, all these 3 layers together with the contact glue. And then what I've done is I made a template in plywood. My flamingo here is, I'm not an artist, but just for fun, just to try to do some handwriting on top of this to make it a nice looking cartoon flamingo kind of. So I think it looked pretty nice actually. So we'll see. And then I will have some stickers with the logos and so on around on the board as well, and some dimensions, etc. So